Hello, and welcome to Alchemy Mindset. I'm your host, Anna Hasty, business mindset coach for women and a sound healer. If you are ready to become the most aligned, magnetic, and confident businesswoman you are worthy and deserving of being, then this show is for you. This is where I share everything from mindset, energy, and spirituality, and how to embody your future self in business and life. Sprinkle that with deeply relaxing sound healings and meditations, and you have the Alchemy Mindset podcast. Hit subscribe so you always get the latest episode. Now let's begin. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Alchemy Mindset podcast. I have to say, I've been wanting to create an episode on breathwork for quite some time, but I don't believe I'm the expert or the one with all the knowledge and experience to share everything about this topic. I mean, I've experienced breathwork before and I've done different forms of breathwork, but I just was waiting for that right person to just enter my world so I could co-create an episode on this topic. Hello to Fionna, or Fee as most people know her, as she was exactly the right person to come my way. Fee had recently decided to follow the calling to pack up her life in Darwin and start the journey back to her home state, Victoria, where her travels would take her down the west coast of Australia and back across the Nullabor to Victoria. I met Fee here in Broome at her first breathwork session she held, and I knew straight away that she was one of my people. Fee started out working as a registered nurse over 20 years ago, called to help others. Traveling and working around Australia and overseas, she felt called to more. Called to help on a different level. After navigating life changes, Fee began meditating for herself and realized how incredibly beneficial it was. It was from there she was drawn to alternative modalities in meditation, reflexology, Reiki, and breathwork. A businesswoman and entrepreneur, 6 years ago, Fee launched her first business in those modalities, and Let It Be with Fee was awakened. In this episode, you'll not only get to know Fee and how she became a breathwork facilitator, but also what the benefits of breathwork are and the different types that are currently zooming around the natural therapy space. But here is the best part about this episode. It was after we finished recording this episode that we began talking about Vipassana meditation retreats and Fee's recent experience of her Vision Quest retreat. Wow. So I immediately hit record again to continue this conversation, as I think you, my dear listener, would find it so inspiring and insightful. If you want to know more about Fee and jump on an online breathwork session or see where she is on her travels, maybe she's in your neck of the woods right now, check out her socials and links below. I've also included the links to the breathwork facilitator course and the Vision Quest she attended, just for your information if you're curious to know more about it. So give Fee and myself a shout out on your stories once you've listened to this episode. Now let's begin. Hello, Fee. Welcome to Alchemy Mindset. It is such a pleasure to have you here chatting to me today. Welcome.
Hi, Anna. Thank you. I was just saying to you, I'm so excited to be here this morning to have a chat about all the things that I offer. So
yeah, absolutely. For those who are just tuning in and are like, who is Fionna? Well, Fionna and I met at her breathwork session that she was holding a couple of weeks ago, almost like over a month ago, right? We're recording this at the end of February, but I think it was like towards the end of January or something. You arrived in Broome and you're offering this breathwork chakra meditation. I was like, oh, this sounds exciting. And you've just been one of those people where you just connect and you're just like, oh, you're in my vibe. You're one of my people. It's like really awesome to be within your energy and experience what you offer. And I was like, you know what? You need to come onto my show and talk about your story and share the knowledge about breathwork, largely because I feel like this is a great topic to share with the listeners because, as I was saying to you earlier as well, like breathwork is like a form of healing. It's a therapy. It's a
hot topic at the moment as well.
Hot topic. Yeah, absolutely. It's something that you'll be hearing a lot within the holistic wellness space of breathwork and healing and trauma release and all that kind of stuff. And knowing that there's also like just so many different aspects of breathwork, I thought it would be fabulous to have a breathwork specialist come on and talk all about breathwork. Welcome.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yay. So let's just wind back the clock. Tell us how you got here. How have you become a Reiki master, breathwork specialist, reflexologist within Let It Be with Fee?
That's a beautiful, thank you for that. Yeah. So I start from Victoria originally, started out in the Western health and was nursing. So as soon as I finished school, went to uni, studied public health and nursing. I still do work in a nursing capacity. It's, on a casual basis. So it was probably about maybe 10 years ago, still nursing, and I was in Darwin at the time. So I was in Darwin for 13 years. And I was going through a relationship separation and I just needed something for me. So I started doing meditation, and I actually stepped into the active consciousness meditation, which is the breathwork meditation that you've been experiencing. Started doing that in Darwin over 10 years ago and just fell in love with it. And it wasn't even about the breathwork at that time. It was about just finding that space for me over an hour, just to really connect in with myself, and things started to come up for me and things started to progress. So just felt through that I was able to move through that relationship separation with a little bit more ease and grace. And, but it was also in that during nursing, just going, there's more to the Western side of healthcare. I know it's imperative. It is part and parcel of how we live today, is that Western health, but there's more than just the physical aspect of self. We're all encompassing. So through that journey about 10 years ago, the lady that was running the meditation circle, she left Darwin, and I was devastated. I went, I've got to learn more. I want to know more. And it was more for myself. So I went and started doing instructor training and things like that through meditation. And then I went, I need to learn this meditation and bring it back to Darwin for the people. So that's what I did. So I went to Bali, learnt with this incredible guru over there, did my 100-hour meditation training, which included this breathwork meditation. And from there, things just kind of evolved. I stepped into reflexology, always had a fascination with feet, and not in a creepy way by any means, but just this fascination with feet. I used to rub grandpa's feet. He worked on a farm. He'd come in at the end of the day, and he was the only person's feet I would ever touch.
Wow.
Yeah, and he'd go to sleep in his chair and he'd wake up and he'd say, it feels like I've left my body, Fee, like you've just whatever you've done. So I'd kind of get up, and that was the end of the foot massage. So I was like, no, I need to learn more about this as well. So I think that's always been in my DNA, in my blood. So from meditation, that reflexology, and then I also stepped into the Reiki, learning Reiki. And it was funny because we have this, universal life force energy around us all. We're energy, dense energy. And so I remember someone saying to me, don't go and do a Reiki. And I was like, me being me, going, well, now that you've said don't do it, I'm going to go and do it. So I got into the Reiki side of things. And so it was about 7 years ago now that I was like, no, I need to branch into this. And there was just a real pull and calling for me to step away from that nursing and, delve into this. So it's more than just the physical. It's delving into the mental aspect of self, the emotional, and then the spiritual as well. So from these three modalities, initially, I set up my business, Let It Be with Fee, and started offering these practices in Darwin. And from there, the breathwork aspect, things grew as well. So I started attending a couple of retreats that were hosted in Darwin, which included breathwork, ice baths, and yoga. So it was about these retreats that a beautiful lady in Darwin hosted. It was all about resetting your nervous system and how the breath is so important. Breath is life. So we take about 22,000 breaths a day, and it was understanding how your breath actually really can make you feel. So then, putting all that together, my business, Let It Be with Fee, has just evolved into that space of including that breath work now and really focusing on that meditation as well, that active consciousness meditation, which is a breath work through our energy centers, so through our chakras.
Yeah, it's a beautiful breath work, in all honesty. Like when we first met and you said, had I experienced any like meditation or breath work? And I said, well, obviously through my yoga practice and teacher training, I've studied like pranayama and then pratyahara, and then also did a mindful meditation course here in Broome. And then a few years ago, I experienced the holotropic, which is a very, very active form of breath work. And then to come and experience yours, which was, I feel like, still very active, but like on a more gentle side. I really like it as well. Like, I feel it's got amazing alignment. Like you said, you're working through your chakras. I'm going to let you explain this. Tell us more about this meditation. This is your realm.
So the meditation is, there are the pranayama. There's that many different techniques, just like meditation. You can sit cross-legged in lotus position and meditate with your eyes closed and allow your mind to completely settle, and not have any thoughts. There's walking meditation. As long as the theory behind meditation is that you become in the moment, you are focusing on the moment, which is what you've got right now. We're in this moment. So the breath work then, like with meditation, there's that many different techniques. So yeah, it's a broad, when people say pranayama or breath work, people probably go straight towards that really deep, intense holotropic breathing, which is incredible. It really does reset the nervous system on a physical level. But the one that I offer is a breath work, but you're doing breath hold. So you're kind of elevating your nervous system to settle it down again. And you're doing that through the energy centers, which is what I work a lot with in all the modalities I work in. So our energy centers or our chakras, they're vital aspects of who we are and how we kind of operate on all levels and layers. So, they're fascinating aspects of ourselves to get to know and delve into a little bit further. So by settling your mind, not only with the meditation, but also that breathing, because if you're focusing on your breath, then you are getting into that meditative state a bit easier. But then you are also going through your chakras to uncover areas that you may need to release, or energy that you may need to release, whether that be thoughts, feelings, emotions, mental blocks on a physical level, just digging a little bit deeper into those parts of yourself.
Because, chakras are like, for anybody who's not familiar, they're energy centers that sit within us. But I think some people think they're just like on the front of our body, but they're actually in the center and they emanate to the front, the side, and the back, right? And then they filter in energy in and out within our system. Is that correct as well? Yeah. And then we have like 7 primary ones. And they, again, like you said, all represent different aspects of our being, filtering that energy in and out. And then when we feel like there's something not quite right with us, it could actually be that we're not filtering energy in and out of one of those centers.
That's right. Yeah.
What's been your experience with the breath work? Like, what have you found it has helped you with the most?
Because I did learn the chakras as I was going predominantly with this meditation, I was able to delve into my chakras during the breath work and meditation and just, I guess, discover more about myself. So my biggest space was my solar plexus, which sits just above the navel. And that's our space of worthiness, willpower, determination. It's that fire in your belly. It's that energy of the sun. And I've realized that that was probably one of my centers that needed a lot of work and a lot of nurturing, I guess. So through this, I was able to understand where that imbalance had come from and stemmed from throughout my life. And I was able to work through those things that came up by sitting and meditating, by centering into myself, and by breathing through it, by calming my nervous system and going within. I was able to release those things that came up for me. Yeah.
And then how has that helped you moving forwards within life? Like, how have you found that also to give you the guidance to go, all right, I'm going to leave my, let's say 9 to 5, my stable income job, and then launch myself into my own business?
Look, that was tough. I'm not going to lie. I'm a human being. We're all human beings going on this crazy, wild journey of life. And, that fear that comes into play of, I'm leaving a really secure, safe 9 to 5, shift work, nursing career, delving into something. But I just, this calling, it was this pull to go, no, there's something more to life. There's something more that I need to be offering. And I guess having that foundation of that Western health and having that foundation of how a physical body works. But then it was like, no, there's more. And being able to understand myself a little bit better and more deeply, I was able to then go, no, I can now offer this through all modalities that I do offer. And it's not to sit there and tell someone how to live their life. It's about empowering a person that I work with going, yeah, we've all got the capacity to move through, to trust ourselves a little bit deeper and trust ourselves in those, that gut feeling, trust your heart, get out of that mind logic. Oh, look, fear's still there. Fear comes and rears its ugly head all the time. And, it's, I guess you just have to sit with yourself and ask, what do I want? By doing that breath work, by doing that meditation, I can really just settle into myself and trust in what comes out through that.
Because, from what I've experienced as well, like I know we discussed this in one of the classes, like how long I felt like I could hold my breath afterwards. I mean, that we're obviously expanding and hyperoxygenating our
bloodstream. Is that correct? And through our lungs. And like you said, our lungs are one of our biggest detox areas. Yeah, just afterwards, just feeling like I could hold my breath without thinking I was holding my breath, but feel really relaxed within that space as well. And then afterwards, just relaxing in the Shavasana part of the breath work, just feeling so relaxed and centered that, even leaving the session, I could just feel myself was more in alignment, just more centered and grounded within myself. And that there was a sense that I'd come back to myself as well, that I wasn't scattered, wasn't like, I'm not going to lie, I'm a busy person. I run a business. I'm a mum. I like to do lots of things. I'm always everywhere. I sometimes look at my day and go, I was here and there and everywhere in between. And it just, it really helped me bring me back rather than feeling like I was scattered in different places and spaces where I'd been previously. And to do it at the end of my week was also really beautiful. Just sort of cemented everything in.
Exactly.
Like a big release for the week. Yeah.
And that's it. We are in these busy lives. We've got family, like you just said. And I think it was the second time I met you, Anna, and we were chatting. You were saying X, Y, and Z, A, B, C. This is all the things you do. And I was sitting there going, well, how does this woman fit it all in her day? But, of course you do. But you also need to take that time out to recenter yourself because, life is busy and society pressures, family pressures, work, all of it. We're in this elevated state, which is our nervous system sitting in this elevated state. And that's that fight or flight state. So just by sitting, breathwork, meditation, you're bringing that space down and you're coming back into your parasympathetic nervous system of rest and digest, which is where you feel more centered, more grounded with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you said to me when I said, oh, this is what I'm doing, going back to the being busy. And you're like, oh, gosh, you are a busy lady. You've got a lot of things on. And I've actually got a sign up next to my desk here. And I feel like, this is how I am. So in human design, I'm a generator. And it says here, as a generator, I need to use up my energy daily. Like I need to feel like I've had a full day. And I'm like, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I felt like doing your classes wasn't just necessarily something nice to do. I felt like it was really honoring myself and a really beautiful form of like self-care that I would naturally make time for. Like I didn't feel like it was like, oh yeah, do I, don't I? Like, oh, I could. Or, sometimes that's how we might feel when we go for a massage or we want to do something that feels like it's a bit more indulgent because some of those things that are really and should be now like mandatory self-care, we sort of still deem them as being a luxury, like nice thing to do or indulgence. I felt like it wasn't in that respect that I was actually doing something that was to better my health and well-being. Like this is like proper self-care for me. Yeah, that's what I've sort of felt also with my mental space about coming to your classes.
Yeah, nice.
Plus also the oracle cards that you use, which are the animal and the spirit. And what are the other? There's mythical creatures.
So it's animal, spirit, mystical beings and elemental beings.
Yeah. And the first time I think I came, I knew within my heart I was going to pull out the lizard because all week I'd been seeing lizards. Like there's two Barneys. They're like quite sort of long, kind of like monitors, like style lizards that crawl up and down the wall. I watched them all the time outside my office space. I'd seen blue tongue lizards wriggle around. I'd like almost stepped on another lizard at the Buddha sanctuary. Like they're just everywhere here. And I was like, I'm going to pull out lizard. And lo and behold, I pulled out the lizard card. And when I read it, I was like, that makes so much sense right now. I feel like this is where I am actually at. Like it was an incredible card. I was like, oh, this is just meant to be me here.
That's right.
Yeah. Now then you've been in Darwin for 13 years and now you're leaving. Well, you've left because here you are in Broome.
Yes.
Tell us about why you felt you had to leave.
So it was just, again, it was this call. And so after I set up Let It Be with Fee, I was working from home. And then I had just this sequence of events that led me to opening a wellness space. So I ended up opening a wellness hub in Darwin for 2 years. And it was actually at the very same place that I started my meditation. It was undeniable. I could not ignore the signs that were coming in for me to open this space. So I opened it up. And I was fortunate enough to sell that business last year in August. And so I guess from selling that space and a couple of other things that occurred, it was time for me to just to spread my wings and leave Darwin. So I decided I haven't done a lot of the West Coast, being from Victoria. So I thought, perfect, I'm going to drive to Broome and I'm going to drive down the West Coast of Australia and eventually head back towards Victoria. So I don't have a time frame. I don't have a plan. It's just kind of as I go. So Broome is actually a place that I wasn't going to stay because I've been here before and I was going to stay for maybe a couple of weeks and then continue down, but I wasn't sure what the weather was going to do. And I'm in a tent. So I decided to stay, and I've been fortunate enough to have some house sitting gigs. And so I'm doing that. And also it's so beautiful. Like the community here in Broome is just so welcoming. And we were talking about this saying, and Darwin's very similar, as in you go to Darwin or Broome and sometimes you don't know why you're there and you're kind of like, I'm not sure. And these two places will either chew you up and spit you out very, very quickly, or you will stay and you will realize the reason why you've been in these beautiful parts of Australia. So I think that Broome is very similar to Darwin in that respect. So I don't need to be here. And I've just got this pull to keep traveling. So by the time I leave Darwin, I will have been in Broome for 9 weeks. And I've been fortunate enough to offer the meditation and the 7-week journey through the chakras and offering my modalities as well. So
yeah, I think it's incredible how lovely, Broome has just pulled you in. And I know you're constantly getting the message from so many people, don't go, stay. But like you said, and we were talking earlier, like when you feel that your calling is somewhere else, and right now, Victoria probably needs your work more than what Broome does. Like Broome has some really magical healers. And like you said as well, that your presence being here has sparked other therapists to continue and finish their breathwork training. You've inspired me to incorporate more chakras into my sound baths. And I know by the time this recording has come out, we will have also done a collaboration together, which is really fun. But now, like you said, your journey is to spread your work and share what you do in your travels all the way back to Victoria. And I think you're right. Like, if I was to tap into the energy of to the Victorian listeners, I am originally from Victoria as well, from the outer skirts of the Eastern Melbourne suburbs. Victoria feels like it needs it right now. It needs quite a bit of healing.
Yeah, it does.
Victoria, but you do. But it's great because Fee's coming and she's incredible and she's going to help you.
I will. I'll call you in a few months when I'm back there and let you know how it's going.
Please do. Which is why I also wanted Fee to come on the show, because if you are listening from Victoria or you're here in WA and she's coming down the West Coast, you'll be able to find her and experience some of her amazing breathworks as well as therapies, which I think are just such a beautiful combination of what you offer.
Thanks, Anna. Yeah. It feels right. It feels good.
So, Fee, I just want to go back to the start of these questions that I had for you, which was, what are you currently doing, or what have you done most recently or within your time, apart from learning your breathwork, reflexology and Reiki, and mastering all of those to share them? What else have you done in your time as being a healer to learn more about yourself, understand more about your purpose and journey, and I guess like maintain the energy of what you do within yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Anna. That's it's imperative. So I actually did a few things last year, but the two main, I guess, adventures I took was a Vipassana I sat in Thailand at the end of last year in November. So 10 days sitting in silence, meditating. So Vipassana is its own story, basically. It's from the Buddha. If you want to go and have a look up about Vipassana, please do, because it's got this beautiful history about how it's evolved. But sitting with myself for 10 days, meditating 10 hours a day, you have to sit cross-legged. 3 hours of those are compulsory. The rest, you don't have to be in the hall, but it is essentially sitting with yourself, breathing. And it's mind-blowing. Day 2, day 6, and day 8, I could have walked out of that hall and that place just going, this isn't for me. Why am I doing this? But then you realize why you are doing it. So again, just understanding yourself a little bit better. So I was able to understand myself more.
Just out of curiosity, what did you understand about yourself? If you can share at least an aha moment from that experience, because funnily enough, I have actually applied for a Vipassana many years ago, and it was actually for Portugal, right? I kid you not. Long story short, cancelled it for a boy. Bad mistake, Anna. Bad mistake. That was error number 1. But it never eventuated. And I kicked myself many times very hard for cancelling that. And then recently, as I was sharing to Fee, I'm going to Bali and had applied for Vipassana there, but am on a wait list. So maybe this time around, I'm still not meant to do Vipassana, but would love to do it one day. But yeah, I'm just curious to know, like, from when I looked at the schedule, it's literally like you wake up at 4:30 a.m. or some really early hour and you're meditating until
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Yep.
10 days. Like for me, that is like a huge journey. And I can imagine that the start, the middle, and the end of it can be quite a mixture of stuff. what was like the actual experience apart from just sitting there cross-legged and trying not to get pins and needles? And what was your aha moment?
There's plenty of pins and needles and there's pain and there's, but the theory and the practice of Vipassana is that nothing is permanent. Impermanence is key. So you're reminded of that. Every night you have a teaching for an hour before you go to bed, and he reiterates that. Goenka gets on and you watch the videos of him, and he reiterates that nothing in life is permanent. So sitting in that space with those pins and needles, with that pain in your knee, it's reminding yourself that nothing is permanent, that you move through each and every moment and you're a different person. You're still you, but you are going through life and things change so quickly that you just it's just a nice reminder. So those aha moments, I guess it wasn't this big flashing light bulb going, oh, that's what it is, because it is about reminding yourself that life is impermanent. We are all going to die at some point in this lifetime. Like, that's inevitable. So just reminding yourself, the materials, things that we possess, what if a fire came through? That's what I like to remind myself. If a fire came through my home and you've got all these possessions, and that's all gone, unfortunate as these and devastating as a fire is, understanding that impermanence of material things. Look, I live in my possessions fit in my car now. I'm living in a tent when I'm not in a beautiful house sitting. So that was a huge thing, going from a home, selling my house, selling all my possessions and downsizing to what can fit in a small RAV4 car is huge. But it's so liberating and freeing that, I don't know, life's something to be lived. Life really is a precious gift that goes very, very fast. So I think that was probably my biggest takeaway from Vipassana.
That's amazing, because I think a lot of people do go not only to learn the practice of meditation, but to have answers answered, or to have that some sort of revelation that helps them understand what it is and why they are here in this lifetime. I guess what Vipassana holds space for is, like you said, is not only showing you that nothing's permanent, like everything is always shifting and changing, but when we're taken outside, when we're taken away from all those external distractions and comforts and all the things that we're familiar with, and we're shut off from that and we're coming back to ourselves in silence, that is when you really can hear the true messages within. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So as well as the Vipassana, I also did a vision quest. So if you haven't heard of vision quest, go and read up about it. I'm going to send you the link to the people that I did vision quest with on the East Coast. So the group or the people that run this on the East Coast, but I actually did it in Darwin. So Vision Quest was another really impactful event that I attended last year that was profound, and not more profound than Vipassana, just on a different level. So I won't go into it. There's a lot to go into about what a vision quest is, but essentially you are fasting for 4 days, 4 nights from food. You do have water, and you are going in and posing yourself a question as you are taken into somewhere in nature where you sit by yourself, no contact with anyone else. Even though there's a group of you, you aren't able to see or hear those other people that are also doing vision quest. You pose yourself a question or what you are wanting to answer, basically. And for me, it was after those 4 days, on the 11th hour, that I had this resounding message come through about where I was heading and what I was doing. So, and in that moment when I got that message, tears just flowed. It was these tears of pure bliss and joy, going, life is magic. It just unfolds exactly as it needs to. We've just got to trust in that. Trust in yourself and trust in the magic that is the universe and Mother Earth and everything that flows with it. So, yeah.
I know you said you weren't going to get into it too much, but you were explaining to me exactly what the vision quest, what you set yourself up for within that space. Can you please just share that? Because I find that so wow, it was almost like Survivor for spiritualists.
So the space is chosen by the Vision Quest people and the Vision Quest protectors, they're known as. So they're there to protect the space. But they go in and they do lots of preparing and planning and clearing the space and energetically setting up the space before you even step into that area. So for a week, you're with them. The first few days, you're getting to know each other. There's lots of instruction and there's talks and stuff. So you're fully prepared about what's going to happen over the days that you are stepping into your little space. On the day before the Vision Quest starts, you actually go and you will choose an area in the bushland or out in nature, wherever you are, and you will clear an area. So we had to clear an area that was 3 meters, a nice little circle. You had to clear a track that you were able to walk each morning. onto the main track, and you had to dig a latrine for obvious reasons. And then that is your space. So that's where you will spend the next 4 days, 4 nights with just yourself and nature. So if you were a real naturalist, you would go out there with nothing. So it's about having the most least distractions with you. For me, I took a tarp out. So a tarp is kind of essential, especially when it's somewhere where it's warm and sunny or raining, but a tarp is essential. I took a yoga mat just to sit on. I took a sleeping mat, a sleeping bag, and a mozzie net. And that was me for 4 days, 4 nights. And then they provide you with the water. So then you go out, you sit there each day, just pose the question, ask the question to myself, connected with Mother Earth, really connecting with nature and seeing what came into my space. So, what animals came in, was it wind gusty, just where was the sun going throughout the day, just all that sort of stuff. And then continuing to pose that question, just ask Mother Earth. I was asking Mother Earth, can you hear me? Father Sky, can you hear me? This is a question that I'm seeking an answer for. And on that 11th hour, this resounding answer came through to me. So powerful.
And like leading up to going out there, like you said, you're obviously with them in the lead up to being on your 4 days and 4 nights. Is that where you start preparing yourself for the water fasting? Like they're helping you cleanse a little bit or just be eating less? Because I can only imagine going out there and suddenly just drinking only water if you haven't prepared yourself. That could be a bit of a shock. Or is that something they ask you to do yourself in preparation?
Yeah, so they do recommend that you start diminishing, if you do eat meat, diminishing your meat product intake, drinking plenty of water, even fasting, having small fasts or intermittent fasting leading up to the quest. Then when you get out there, so it's vegetarian and they will diminish your portion sizes or the food that you're consuming prior. But when I went out there, I wasn't nervous about not consuming food. And I actually wasn't hungry till day 3, but that's the day when that ketosis is kicking in. I won't say angry, but I was angry. I guess that was an emotion that came up for me, angry, but then I was like hungry and I was like, it wasn't what am I doing here? I knew exactly what I was doing there, but it was just, I guess, a frustration. I just want something other than water touching my mouth and that, just this foul taste in my mouth. I just wanted something else to kind of quench that thirst. But no, they prepare you fully stepping into that. There were 7 of us, 7 women. It was actually beautiful. There were 7 women that stood together and finished the quest together. 3 of them were like, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm going to have to eat. But, they survived. They got through it. So
that sounds so powerful. I actually will put that on my list of things I would like to experience. 100%.
Highly recommended.
Yeah. My only fear would be ants. Were there ants in your space? Like, I'm not a big fan of ants.
There was ants, the march flies, or I don't know what to call them here. They drove me batty. But again, after the quest, this is all stuff. So the day that you step out of your quest and you come back to the base camp, your day is still integrating into your experience. So the whole day we spent journaling. Every single thing that came up was journaled. And it was like I wrote pages of what happened over those 4 days. And you're like, oh, I'll be fine. I'll just write a few lines. No, it doesn't stop flowing. And then, for instance, the march flies for me were they were my biggest distraction. It's like, how can these little creatures be my biggest distraction? But
I know. I can imagine like they'd probably make me angry, drive me wild. Like, don't land on me. Don't bite me. Don't come near me. Stop saying, go away. I told you to go away. I'm trying to make peace with you, my friend.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Make peace with myself, make peace with what's going on. Yeah.
Wow. And just out of curiosity, because I'm just so curious, even at nighttime, how did you sleep? Feel like you slept relatively well? Because for me, I would want earplugs or something so I could just drown out the external noise of fear of some animal or a creepy crawly coming towards me.
Yeah. Daytime was good because you could watch the sun. You could, kind of follow the sun roughly midday, it's coming to sunset, all the rest of it. When it gets to dusk and nighttime, obviously those mozzies started coming out, so it was into the mozzie net. My first night, my air pillow popped.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So you do have the opportunity to request things within reason. You can't request a steak or anything, but I had the option if I wanted to request a pillow. And I went, no, I'm doing this with bare minimum. And our water was actually in the silver bags.
A goon bag, yeah.
So I finished one of my waters and put air in it, and that was my pillow. But the nighttime, because you are unaware of what time it is, like I'm not very good with constellations and knowing where the stars go. So you'd wake up at some point going, okay, there's a star there. And watching them move, you still didn't know what time it was. So that was huge, just going, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's 2 a.m. I don't know if it's 4 a.m. I don't know when the sun's going to rise. I didn't have any encounters, but I know one of the ladies had a slithering animal go past her, and she said she was terrified. I didn't take a torch out with me. All the other women took head torches or torches. Again, they say take bare minimum if you can. And I found that because you had to adjust to the light, you had to adjust to the night light. So I didn't have any encounters with animals, but some of the other ladies did. So whether that be a brown snake or whatever it was slithering past at night.
But how amazing that it came past just to check in. Are you okay over there?
Yeah, that's it.
Let you know I'm saying hi. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. I always love hearing about other people's experiences through other practices or forms of retreat or meditation. And this is the one thing I truly love about the work that I do, is that through the people that I meet is where you hear about all these things. And it's like when you step into this world of journeying within, inner reflection, learning about yourself, all of that kind of umbrella aspect, the people that you meet that can just open up other doors and ideas and references or steps or places where you can go and experience more, so that we can fully understand more about our life and our journey and our purpose within this lifetime. It's the one thing I just love about the work that I do. It's always the people that have like shared so many amazing stories that just give me inspiration, like, yeah, I could do that one day, or I'd love to experience that, or read this book because it might help, shed a bit more information and light onto existence that we have, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I know the listeners are going to really, 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 really benefit, to say the least. Yeah, enjoy hearing that story. That's so cool. Yeah. Is there anything else that we want to share within our chat?
Look, Broom's been beautiful. Meeting you, so excited with everything that you do and coming to your sound healings and journeys at the Buddha Sanctuary. And you excite people, like you just get people going and going, come on the podcast, let's do a collab, like let's get this stuff going. But like you said, it's just empowering the people of Broome to go, yeah, I can do this too, or I can make the next move into whatever I'm pulled to do. And yeah, fear's going to be there. It's always going to be there, but that's almost like a driving force to go, well, if the fear's not there, then it's too easy almost. So, back yourself, and yeah, which has been so empowering, to come here and just meet you, Anna. And
oh, thank you. I'm so pleased to hear that. And I agree, like in reflection to my own journey into starting my own business, yeah, like I could think of a million fears that came up around stepping out onto my own and creating my work, and knowing that I was to only support me through the work that I did. It's freaking scary because there's no stability and there's no guarantee, right? And it's the same, I'm sure, what you've experienced, not only when you went out on your own after leaving your nursing career, but also to trust that calling that I have to leave Darwin, which is really familiar, some place that I'm sure you've loved over time, and that you're trusting that calling and that feeling that you are to go back to Victoria, and whatever is to be there is there. And I think that's a really important message as well to leave with the listeners is, yeah, fear can be scary, but if there's something that you really want to do and it has a slight edge also of excitement and really like fun, and, it makes your heart sing all at the same time, like, oh, it just makes you feel so good to think about this idea of doing this thing, even though it feels a little bit scary, that's a sign that you should go for it.
Get out of here and into here.
Yeah.
Be the toughest thing to do.
It is, isn't it? Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Fee, for coming onto the podcast to share breathwork and your experiences and what it's all about, because they're all beneficial. Like every form of breathwork out there has an incredible benefit to our health and well-being. And I've really enjoyed experiencing yours, which is why I was like, oh, come and have a chat about breathwork. It's really cool.
Thanks, Anna.
So yes, if anybody wants to know about Fee, because you're also offering online breathwork sessions, healings, all the things.
Yes, online meditation is currently on a Sunday evening, so 5:00 Perth time, so Australian Western Standard Time. I'm doing that just until the end of my time in Broome, and then I'm deciding whether to change the days. But you can just go onto my website, and I'm sure Anna will post that in the podcast notes. I'm also offering distance Reiki and breathwork sessions. So you can do a breathwork session online, and I'm there to support you the whole way through breathwork or a Reiki, distance Reiki. But yeah, come on board, come and join a meditation session one night. Just goes for 45 minutes to an hour. Jump on, you do the breathwork, meditation through your chakras, and then you go and enjoy your evening, jump into bed or...
Well worth it. It's absolutely 100% well worth it. So yeah, thank you, Fee, for joining me on this podcast and for sharing so much knowledge and wisdom. As I was tuning into this episode, I said, just let everything, whatever needs to flow, come through. That Fee just shares some beautiful stories and information that is of benefit and help to those who are listening today. And of course, I will put all your details below because you are traveling through and down the West Coast. And if you want to experience what Fee has to offer, you can find her, stalk her, send her some love. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing like your knowledge and experiences of breathwork and what you offer and how it can benefit people, as well as, yeah, those really insightful experiences you've had of Vipassana and of Vision Quest.
Thanks, Anna.
Have a great day. Speak to you soon.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to today's episode. Please rate and review this podcast so that it can continue to thrive and reach more listeners. I love to know who my listeners are, so please screenshot this episode and tag me on Instagram at Anna F. Hasty. And I look forward to connecting with you in the next episode.